Thank you for attending the Week of Kindness. Coming up next is another powerful, impactful, amazing speaker. Get your notepad out, get your pen. Let's get ready and enjoy.
Hey, we made it all the way, all day today. We've been here waiting for my special friend, Carla Cohen. How are you, Carla?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Woohoo!
You even got a new hair color. I like it.
You know what? Actually, it's the same. It's just the lighting. It's funny how just depending on how well lit up I am, I look different. So
I love it. I love it. So, folks, I met Carla last year, and we had some conversations, and then I've had her also come in and talk to my next level group, and everywhere she goes, she leaves such a wonderful impact. And you really know your stuff, Carla. So I'm not gonna go. Do you have a presentation you want to share with everybody and things like that?
no, I thought we'd just do it kind of casual. I maybe tell a little bit about my background and then
Love that.
give you a few tips. And
I think we could do that. Absolutely. All right. So everyone, Carla, you're in California.
Yes, I am.
All right, all right. And I'm in Austin today. So we're back in Central Territory, and you're cold, I hear. I think we switched places. You know, Houston has all the rain, California has all the sun, and now it's like
Yeah, it was actually the other night, it was 47 here, which is really cold for us.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
There's probably people in their outfits out there surfboarding still, right?
Well, yeah, probably. Absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah, actually, I saw a free diver the other day. He went down 50 feet, in this, I mean, he had on a wetsuit, but it was a thin one. So I'm like, people adjust, right?
I taught swimming all my life, and we had 9-foot pools and 10-foot deep ends, right? And one of my favorite, I think I was a mermaid in a past lifetime. One of my favorite things to do was to just go down and sit at the bottom and then just watch people's little legs and everybody swimming, and I would just watch them. And then darn it, I had to come back up for air. So
yeah.
but the reason that I brought that up is because that was 10 feet of water, and there's a lot of pressure on you at 10 feet.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine the free divers going down 40, 30, 40, 50 feet. That's you got to look like a jellyfish.
Yeah. Well, they learn breath control. I'm actually an advanced diver, so the deepest I've been is 130 feet, and that's a little bit over the limit. But I was a little bit scared, but it was really mental. It was just a mental game, like everything else. Some of the stuff we're actually going to talk about tonight.
I love it. I love it. So, by the way, along those lines, there's I don't remember what channel it is, but the kid that plays Thor, Chris, is it Hemsworth from Australia?
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
Just eye candy for for all practical purposes, but he's got a new show called Limitless, where he challenges his body to do things like that, like go into a frozen pool and swim and things like that. But he brings in the experts to teach them, to teach him how they do it, right? And one of those divers was one of his, and it was a woman, was one of his instructors for diving deep. Yeah, and I was just fascinated with the show. Very well done. It's done documentary style with him as a host, and it's very, very good. So anyway, I recommend that. We're off on another tangent, Carla. We do that all the time. Every time we talk.
Yeah. Well, it's great to be here today. And I'm really excited to share some tips with people. My specialty is helping people get unstuck and navigate change. People who are, changing jobs, or women maybe leaving a relationship, and how to do that from a place of peace. And so, but today it's really about getting unstuck. Like, how do you do that? But before I talk about how I was an expert on being stuck. Let me talk about a little bit about my background and how I became, some tips on how to be unstuck, because I've learned how to repeat this over and over again now. And I see that it works, and I really am anxious to share it with other people.
I'm happy you're here. Thank you for selecting the week of kindness and gratitude. And you are home, my friend. Just take it and run.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here again. So, yeah. So, for people who don't know me, my background was in the film industry, and about like a lot of women in the industry, it's not an easy path. We women have to work harder. We have to produce more. There's more pressure on women, and even at those levels, there's not women are typically not paid or recognized at the same level men are. And so when I was back in working with A-list celebrities like Michael Jackson and George Benson and the Commodores, I don't even remember, the list is pretty huge. I was in a PR firm and I was up for my boss left and everybody thought I would get that job. And because I was shouldering half the clients anyway, so it was like I knew everybody. I had written the public relations campaigns. And what happened was I was passed over and a man was put in my place who really didn't know the clients and didn't have a sense. And they wanted me to stay and train him to do the work, which was the ultimate insult. So what happened at that time was everybody in the place got really upset. They were angry because everybody thought I would get it, that I deserved it. And what the way that I internalized that was I thought, well, just, maybe I'm just not good enough. I mean, that's kind of how I took that. And so I took that sort of damaged goods in there with me as I moved forward. And I continued to work in PR for a while, became vice president of another firm, and then moved into story development, those are the people who take the stories and turn them into a movie or a motion picture or a television show. And my boss, I was recruited to that job and it was my dream position. My boss was an amazing man, he was funny. He had an acerbic wit and he just was sharp as a pin. Before you knew it, he'd hit you with a joke and it'd be like a 10-second catch up, right? To get to where he was. Anyway, one day they fired him and they elevated me they asked me to take over his position, but they didn't want to pay me anymore. And they also didn't want to give me the same title. So it was really hard. And I just felt like, okay, here we go again. I just must not be good enough. So the way that I internalized that was I decided I needed to work harder. I needed to be better. So I started putting in longer and longer days. I was working 70 hours a week. I would take home scripts with me and read them. We'd be out, my husband and I'd be out socializing. And while I could smell the wine and the food cooking, and I'd be over in the corner smelling the barbecue, but reading my scripts, reading the books and rewriting things. So after doing that over and over again and extending more and more hours and really not giving myself any downtime, I ended up first it was little naps and then they were 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I had a sofa in my office, but pretty soon they turned into, longer and longer naps and I'd be out for like an hour. Right. And that's just it's not an ideal situation at work, obviously. Right. And I my brain was kind of getting foggy and I was getting very lethargic and I noticed I had a fever and, they were getting ready to fire me. And I was also at the same time, like I had to leave because my body was quitting for me. It just had said, you're done. So by the time we went to the doctor, we discovered I had an elevated white blood cell count that was off the charts. And I did have a constant fever. The doctors they did every test. They checked every liquid, every orifice. They really were puzzled because even though they threw out the idea of Epstein-Barr, but they couldn't absolutely conclusively define it as that. And they actually wondered if I picked up something in a foreign country during my travels. And they basically, after they just kept testing and testing and they sent me home to sleep. So I was, the last thing I remember with my last interaction with my doctor, who I really loved, he really cared, but he just was at his wit's end. He said, Carla, I'm so sorry, but we really don't know what to do to help you. And we think you're depressed. And he handed me a bottle of antidepressants and said, take these home with you. and let's see if it'll help. But otherwise, you just kind of have to sleep it off. And in my mind, I went, what? Depressed? I wasn't depressed until you told me you were giving up on me, until you told me to go home and sleep. I mean, if I would have slept anymore, I could go toe to toe with Sleeping Beauty. That's, you know, and so I went home, and my, this was the first time in my life, like, my parents couldn't help me. My mom was a pretty skilled nurse, and, the doctors couldn't help me. And I was like really like lost. So I thought, well, I got nothing. I'll take the medication, right? So I remember taking one of the antidepressants and walking into the bathroom. And in those days, I used to straighten my hair. In order to do that, for people who don't have curly hair, you have to lift your arms above your head. And it's like this, it takes time, right, to do it, but it's constantly. Well, what happened was I literally went to lift my arms up, and I couldn't. So I sat down on the toilet, and I remember just collapsing into tears. And for the first time, I felt like absolutely hopeless and helpless. So and I realized part of that was that medication. And I thought, you know what, this is not the way for me. So I took the rest of the bottle and I threw it out. And I decided that, I was going to find some way to heal myself. And so now I was sleeping a lot. I had to be in bed most of the day. I had a little 800 square foot house, 825 square feet. To get from the bathroom to the bedroom for me was a massive effort. But there were days where I would feel a little bit better. So one day I got invited to a transcendental meditation initiation. And I thought, well, maybe meditation, I don't know. I mean, I'll try anything. And I'd been already to all I'd also tried a bunch of alternative doctors in between now and then, right? So, and they injected me with some things, and they tried acupuncture, and we did all these other things, but nothing was really making a dent. So when I went to the meditation, I had a very profound experience. And it was when the man was reciting the lineage of the gurus, where the meditation came down from. I actually knew it. Not so that I could recite it, but I knew it. And I felt like something really shifted. And I knew that I had to learn how to do this. So I did. I didn't really have enough funds at the time. And the teacher he said, I know I have to teach you, and I just want you to promise me that you'll send me the money when you have it. And I said, yes, I will. So that was 46 years ago now, I think. And I have not stopped meditating since that time. I meditate every day since then, but that was the beginning of the turnaround. And one day the meditators came over to my house, and they needed a place to meditate. So I invited them in, and this woman stepped over the threshold. She was this old silver-haired woman with blue eyes and very piercing, like she could see through to your soul. And she looked me in the eye and she said, this is the home of a very powerful healer. And I went, huh? I looked behind me, I know who she was talking about. And I thought, I'll just let that go. She's probably a whack job, So
Thanks.
Come on in and have a seat, right? So then within a week of that, I also felt, a little better one day. And I went to a psychic fair, and this woman did a tarot reading. She laid out the cards, and she was very stoic. She was very wooden, and she almost didn't move or smile or anything. But when she looked at my cards, she really knew her stuff. She looked at my cards. She said, oh my God, you've been so sick. You've been sick for a really long time. And I was like, how does she know that? And so that kind of freaked me out. And then I said, and I thought to myself, well, what good is this that she's telling me this? And she said, there is something you can do. It's called energy balancing. And I think it would be great for you. And so I ended up booking. I didn't have, again, I was low on money at the time. I didn't have the funds. That night, the universe, honestly, it was such a shock. Somebody gave me a check for exactly what it cost to go to her for a session. And I thought, well, okay, I'm in. So I went to her, and when and I remember walking into a room, and it was, it was, for me, it was pretty out there. She had crystals and incense, and and I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever. I need help, whatever. I'll try anything. And I walked in, and she invited me to lay down on her massage table. And when I laid down on the table, she went and she started to put her hand over me, and she said, "Oh my, get up." And I went, it was kind of shocking, So I thought I did something wrong, or, whatever. So I remember jumping up, and she said, your problem is you're not sick. You're really clairvoyant. You're a clairsentient. So you're getting all these energies, and you don't know how to deal with them. And you're going to become my apprentice. I never let anybody work on me, but you're going to start working on me, and I'll tell you how. So that was the beginning. She literally laid on the table, and I put my hands over her. That was the beginning of me starting to do healing work. And from there, I worked with her for a couple of years. I would distance read her clients and tell her what I picked up. And she would always affirm that I had said that I was right. And then she got paid, but I didn't, for her clients. So I worked for, but I was learning. And then from there, I went on and I studied with a bunch of shaman and healers around the world. And then at a certain point, I wanted more conventional. I wanted to be able to speak to people more conventionally. And I wanted to be able to understand the anatomy of what I was picking up and all of that. And so I went into more studies. I studied sports medicine. I went into massage, and I studied deep tissue, and I also studied essential oils. So there was a lot of different things I did. And over time, it became obvious to me that the biggest challenge for everybody was that people had emotions stuck in their bodies that they didn't realize were causing problems for them. And I eventually started to learn about emotional intelligence and get certified in that. And I started taking all of those things that I know and bringing them together, even nutritional stuff, to help people heal and move forward. So
I need to ask you, with your permission. I need to. Okay, so the first time that somebody laid down and said, "Okay, you do this,"
yeah,
what did you feel? I mean, I've had people do things like that to me, and I'm like, okay. How did you know it was the right thing? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was it became really obvious when somebody told me to relax, and I actually put my, I started on the outside, and then I moved down into the physical body. Mm-hmm. And I could literally feel things. I could feel their emotions, which was really interesting. I'm like, oh, wow, and it was in different parts of the tissue. It's not like what you read in the books. Like, I love Louise Hay, but that's not exactly how it works. I mean, from my experience. So the tissue has a cellular memory. And so depending on where the tissue is and the different layers, there's all these different levels you can feel. And it's developing a listening touch. But I remember just being able to sort of hear with my hands. I don't know how else to put it. So it was kind of like I was surfing the tissue. I was barely touching it, but people would feel like, they'd say, well, it feels like you're doing like work way inside my body, like like it's surgery almost, and I'd be on their ankle, and they'd feel me in their kidney or whatever. So for me, and I just follow my guidance, like this is where I needed to go. Right. But does that kind of answer the question?
It does. I'm just wondering, well, okay, my husband used to have this thing that he would do to the kids whenever they had a sore muscle, and he would didn't touch them, but he would pull his hands over their body, and then he would say, "It's really hot right there." Because he could feel the heat. I mean, is that kind of what you feel?
That's that's a very good thing. That's a very good first step, right?
Okay.
But the heat is no, I would literally, okay, this is going to sound even odder, but I don't know how else to say it. So I could literally feel the mood in the tissue. Like, it's not just the heat. It would be like, oh, this is stubbornness here. This is, I identify that as anger or guilt. And then sometimes in those days, more, because I don't do that as much of that now, but I would see images too. I would see fire trucks or, funny things that were relational to the person on the table. I smell things too. So there was one guy I worked on, I remember in Las Vegas, it was such a vivid experience. And he when I connected with him, it was like my whole body lit up, in a way I don't even know what was going on there. But I do remember that I smelled cigar smoke very, very strong. And I said, "Do you smoke cigars?" He said, "No." I said, "Oh my God, it's like I was almost being choked by it." And I said, "It's so strong." And I said, "Was there somebody in your past that smoked cigars around you?" He goes, "Yeah, my uncle, he's like my favorite uncle." I said, "Well, there's all this cigar smoke trapped in," and then there was the emotional component of that, right?
Right.
With that. So it's kind of hard to describe, but it's a lot of information coming in from different senses all the way around. Sometimes I'll smell perfume like it's grandma, like whatever, or I'll be like, "Wow, I smell white shoulders." Now, who remembers that? I can't even believe I pulled that out. But I
Mom
remember
was,
that
yeah,
coming up with a client.
mom was Estee Lauder.
Right.
My mom.
So, things like that. So
Yeah.
as time went on, I really became more about like, how do I facilitate people being able to do this more for themselves? Not that, I mean, my hands are always going to be great listeners, and so is the rest of my body, and all of my senses are still there. But it became more about like, there's so many trapped emotions inside people, and they don't realize that those emotions are what's keeping them stuck or holding them back or causing them to repeat the same patterns that are not helping them anymore in their life. So going back to, situations of change where people are trying to get out of a marriage, maybe they're navigating a difficult divorce, or they've just been laid off a job, or they're in a job and they know they need to leave. Like the things that keep them or made them be in that job is an emotional vibration. And so I work more with that now in terms of focus, like when in my coaching work. And so it's really easy to know when you have a trapped emotion, because you'd have to be honest with yourself and know that you're stuck. So if you're willing to see that you're stuck, like, "Oh my God, I keep attracting, I don't understand why I keep getting men that are abusive," right? Like, hello, I'm not saying you caused it, but there's some kind of belief system in there that's creating a vibratory frequency that's like a signal bringing in that kind of a man, right? If it's a job, like I had this one woman I work with, she was such a privilege. This lady is like a brilliant space technologist over in Europe. Right? And she was in a position where her bosses were both men, and neither one of them really was very good at their jobs. And she was kind of managing her managers, right? And so with her, we worked in terms of communication skills, and then working with the emotions underneath that were causing her to think that she couldn't say this, or how to say it, and it's skills too, right? So it's working with all these different angles to help her move on. And after she moved through so much stuff, it was amazing. And after near the end of our time together, it ended up, she got everything resolved with her two bosses, where everything was really like copacetic and she was happy. And to me, the validation was she got promoted out of that job to run a whole new department of her dream, to work on her dream. And it was like, this is my work, right? So I got her, she learned her lessons, right? Integrated them and moved on to the next level where she was really supposed to be, But all of those things happen for a reason, right? It's not like, right? We all attract everything that happens to us. There's a reason. It's not like it's random occurrences. Our vibration controls all of this.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Oh my goodness. We could talk about this for hours. I know. Listen, you guys, I love Carla. She's the emotional alchemist, and you can see why. She's got so much to offer, so much to learn. Carla, you actually have this is a gift giveaway. So let's talk about, you have a general gift and then a VIP gift, right?
Okay, yes. And I have a couple things. Yes. So for people who are going through a lot of everybody's experiencing higher levels of stress and anxiety right now. We've got layoffs, we've got the economy, we've got all kinds of things. I don't know if you just heard that Microsoft they just announced they're laying off, I don't remember how many thousand people. Google's laying off how many thousand people, right? And so stress levels and anxiety are way up. And it's not just those two IT companies, it's happening universally.
Right.
And so what I have is a book, and it's called How to Use Your Brain Profile to Reduce Your Stress and Anxiety in 10 Days. And this is free to everybody. The book is really great because it's very helpful in terms of it gives you practical steps to take every day for 10 days. And you could repeat those, right? To help you move through and reduce your stress. And you start to get an idea of like, what are some of your triggers, but more importantly, how do you solve it? Right. So I love that book. And, it's the culmination of what, 40 something years of knowledge, put into a little booklet for people to make it as simple and easy to follow as possible. And I really think it's great. And probably if I turned it into an actual book, it would probably sell at the stores for, $25 or something, maybe more. But, the actual information that's in there is absolutely priceless. And so it is free to everybody that's part of this today. And I'm excited for you guys to get turned on to this. And then I have a VIP offer. It's actually for those people that are VIPs during this program. I have a special book that I've actually created just for you. That's How to Get Unstuck. And it gives you 5 pieces of how to get unstuck. It gives you the steps, and it gives you some ideas of how to navigate forward on your own very easily. And I think it's brilliant knowledge in there. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I just feel like it's really good, and I'm excited to share it. Right? So those are those. And then I also have a special offer for people who would like to go a little bit deeper. Right.
Right.
So for those who are interested, it's a very special price. It is I'll just start out with saying, you get a brain profile session with me and emotional alchemy session, which are combined, right? The combined value of these 2 sessions alone is $900. It's like $450 for the brain profile and another $450 for the session. So that's $900 of value right there. And in the session, we identify your talents in your brain that you may not know that you have. And we identify your brain personality, which is fascinating. When you know what your brain's personality is, you start to understand better how to talk to other people and how to relate to them. So that takes a certain skill set to do that. And it's actually based in science, and it's very amazing. So you get a visual, and you also get me interpreting the report for you. And then in the emotional alchemy session, we create a crystal clear vision for ultimate success for you. So you know exactly what you need to do to get where you want to go and how to make it happen. That's number 1. And number 2, we will uncover hidden challenges that may be sabotaging your ability to make the changes that you want to make and keep them going on.
That's a real important thing, Carla.
Yeah.
Most people have no clue what they're doing to themselves until after it happens. And then they're like, well, I was expecting that.
Yeah. And that's true. It's like some of that is mindset stuff too, right? Like how you think is what you're going to attract. And I work with that as well. That's one of the things I do. So when people have this session with me, you'll leave the session renewed, re-energized, inspired to finally achieve the changes that you seek once and for all. And it's a great session. I really love doing this with people because it allows me to connect on such a deep level with you and really help you in a way. It feels just as good to me as it does to you. I love seeing people's little light bulbs go off when we do it. And I believe you have the link posted here. Should I say
on your speaker page? Yeah, everything we're talking about. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
And we'll post it on your YouTubes as well. So
okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So those are, and so that whole offer, which is valued at, that's $900. Plus you get that free PDF that I first talked about, the 10, using your brain profile to change your brain in 10 days. You get all that for only $99, which is a rocking deal. And
yeah, that's great. Yeah, $900. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to sign up today.
Fantastic.
I'm ready for my little light bulbs to go off.
Well, what's so great is, as a result of doing these sessions, people release pain, they release anxiety, their stress starts to go down. It becomes easier to make decisions and stop worrying and doubting what you decided you were going to do. And I feel like my experience of watching people, and myself too, as I apply these things, I don't just do it, teach it, I actually live it, is that I move through things so much faster. You know what I mean? So those things that used to hang me up or stop me before, it's like a blip. And then you look back and you go, oh, that would have been a problem before, but I don't feel that anymore,
That makes so
So
much sense.
yeah, yeah.
Oh God, I could talk with you for another half hour and an hour on top of that. Everyone, I need you to pay attention. Carla is a friend. Carla's the emotional alchemist, and the magic that she has in her fingers and her mind will definitely help you. And that $900 offer down to $90, $99, you got to do it. You just have to do it. And you know, I've over the past year, I've actually had the pleasure of working with some healers and things like that. Actually, there's 4 of them that I did some programs for. And you know, where people used to say, "Yeah, this is woo," and it's not. And you know what, you guys, good that it's woo. That means she's not filling you full of pills.
Yeah, well, and the problem with it, most of us have been programmed to believe that a pill is a solution. And if you look at the statistics, the average person in the United States is on 4 to 5 medications every day. That's prescribed. And then another 2 or 3 over the counter meds.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know about the long-term effects of those things. You can't measure that. And so it's better to try to work it from this way, because then you don't have, hopefully you don't have those side effects. You don't have to go that route if you don't want
Right.
to. There's so many alternatives out there. And I
Right.
didn't know, babe, way back when I had my health crisis, but now I know.
Yeah, and you know, and I saw my mom go through that. I saw my sister go through that. I saw my father. I saw my husband, my little brother, um, and I, you know, after I lost everybody,
Right.
I went back to my medicine cabinet and I went, let me look at the side effects of this one. So this one was going to affect that one, and that one was going to affect that one, and that one is affecting this one. And I'm like, why am I taking this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to become a side effects baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because then you start taking this one to fight the side effects of that one.
That is
And I'm
so
like,
exactly right.
done.
Yeah.
I am done. I
Yeah.
refuse to be sick. That's my motto.
Well, and that's another thing. It's like, thank you for saying that, because you actually brought to mind another thing. So, you know, I used to catch every bronchitis that was going by, every sore throat, you know, you name it. That was way back when. Now I almost never get sick. And a lot of it is utilizing these techniques that I use to work with people, but it's, learning how to shift your mindset, because it's not like something's waiting out there to land on you. You know, the fear of getting sick is worse than is worse, because the more you carry that fear, that it creates anxiety and stress. That's hard on your immune system. If you can learn to let that go,
Right.
get in a mindset of, hey, that's not going to impact me. You know, I mean, I think there's a line there that's you know, there's common sense, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not going to walk into a ward and go, please get me. But, you know, I'm just saying that this, this constant fear that people live in isn't healthy for them. Yeah.
Well, and I just found out because my son showed up in my home with a really, really bad back. And so we were watching YouTube videos on, you know, possible conditions. And here I am, I'm going to be, in 2 months, I'm going to be 68. And I just found out that the little pillows in your spine, you know, your disc, what are they called?
The discs. Yeah.
So apparently when you lay down for sleep every night, they refill with fluid. So your body regenerates the little pillows in between your spinal column. Right. And so when you wake up the next day, by you know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they've settled, they've flattened, and they're done. Right. Then you go back to sleep and they regenerate. You know, similar to what your liver does. It regenerates until you kill it, right?
Well, and your brain too. People think that you have a limited number of brain cells, but you actually, you know, your spine is continually producing more brain cells that you use, you know. So, but we do need to learn ways, like, this is where nutrition comes in, toxins in your environment. These are all things that I would work with typically with longer term clients. This all comes into play, because if you don't eliminate, I just had a scan from a Chinese doctor this week, and he goes, I've never seen this. You have the arteries of a 20-year-old. How are you doing that? What is your
that?
Me too, because I have a family that a history of heart disease, of clogged arteries, of, you know, my brother just had open heart surgery where they had to like clean out all his arteries last year. And my other brother, both of my brothers are on high blood pressure medication. I don't have that because the emotions that I help people clear, that I clear myself, are, those are the things that are causing us to age. They're causing us to have some of these physiological side effects that we experience. And like you were talking about with the drugs, that's a whole other thing. Like I'll tell people sometimes, like, if you've been on this stuff for so long, let's detox you. Let's get rid of that out of your system, because of what you said.
Yeah. Carla, thank you so much again for playing with us, for being in our sandbox, and for always coming back. And you are amazing. I just absolutely love her. You guys, she's got some gifts. She's got a VIP gift, and you know what that means. Everybody gets the general gifts, but only the VIPs get the VIP gifts. And that only costs $97. And you guys, you see over here on the bottom right of the screen, you move me around, Lisa. The Better Vision for Children is the foundation that we're trying to raise in 2023. Standout Stars is committed to raising $10,000 for them. So 10% out of every VIP ticket is going to the Better Vision for Children, and we're excited to bring them on, and I'm excited to sit on their board, and we're going to have some fun this year, because I think we've got the right mindset, the right emotional alchemy, and the right friends. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. You ladies had a great time. It was great watching you. I love this so much. Thank you, Carla. I love hearing your story, and I can just feel the healing and the energy coming from you. So thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate it.
Well, we're going to have to get you on the marketers cruise next year. You get to go party with us.
All right. I really got to say too, just briefly, I really love this charity. I think this is such a great cause that you're doing. I mean, what better thing than helping children see? I think that's amazing. So I love that it's going 10%. I think of the VIP goes to that, and what a great cause.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Lisa, we're in your hands. What's next?
All right. Well, we are going to sign off. I feel like I should be singing some song from somewhere. I don't know.
I feel like a Sound of Music.
I don't
Goodbye,
know.
adieu.
You know what song actually was coming to me? It was like, "Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go." Da, 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 da. I don't know where that came from.
Good night, sweetheart. Well,
I need some.
I obviously can't sing. Schroeder, where are you? I need you.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we are going to let Miss Carla come down. We'll see you soon.
Hi, Carla.
Miss Tony, we're going to say good night. Everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. Come back first thing in the morning. Batista Gramont will be here, and we're going to open up with her. Okay. The other half of Dr. Fitness. Everybody have a blessed evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. Thank you so much for all of that great information. Hey, we're not done yet, so just relax. We're going to continue on with our next speaker in just a few moments.